Coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Perry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out Smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats. Voices in my head, they count for me. They understand. They talk to me. Designed to keep you safe, but when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. Voice that is the savior, it's loud and loves to hate. I have a voice that has the knowledge and the power to make them know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the War Report podcast. Right now I'm solo. This is Steve. Hopefully we got some more of the crew joining us shortly. Last night they finally debuted new entrance music for RK Bro, which is why we're opening the show with it this evening. I'm always a big fan of everything Matt Riddle. I'm always been an Orton guy. I love the two of them together. They finally did something with the music, and I think it works. We there's a lot we got to cover. So much to cover, and it always feels like a short amount of time. Hopefully I'll have somebody joining us to make this a little more interesting. However, we usually start with either SmackDown or Raw, or we start with a pay-per-view. But this week I'm thinking maybe we need to start with a little NXT because we did have, with WCW, they had a lot of gimmick type of pay-per-views, as we all know. And one of my all-time favorites was Halloween Havoc. And so for me, I always wanted WWE to do something with Halloween Havoc when they acquired WCW, and they didn't for so long. And then they finally said, you know what, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it with the NXT brand. I was kind of bummed about that because for me, that should be an actual pay-per-view, not just on a random Wednesday night that you consider to be Halloween Havoc because it's the week of Halloween. However, I always did enjoy it, and at least they decided they were going to do something with it. So they once again, because this is not the first time, I think it's been a couple of years now, they finally have been using it in NXT. They did a great job, I think. The setup, very similar to how they used to do it in WCW with the graveyard and all that kind of stuff. And I did like all the gimmick type matches that they had, obviously reflecting Halloween. And then there's also Chucky, who was the host of NXT Halloween Havoc. I'm curious to see what people's thoughts were with Chucky being the host. I think it's kind of funny. This is not the first time Chucky has hosted Halloween Havoc in WCW many, many, many years ago. I think the commentary of Chucky is quite amusing. So I'm curious to see what people's thoughts were, but all in all, I was pretty happy with the entire show. It started off with their Scareaway to Hell ladder match for the NXT Women's Tag Team belts. So you had a great match to start off the show. I mean, ladder matches are always a home run, which, you get to see a lot of cool shit in a ladder match. And so I'm a pretty big fan. You had Gigi and JC in the match. You had Io Shirai. You had Indy Hartwell, who recently wrestled a dark match, I think on SmackDown. So it'll be interesting to see if she gets a call up. But they seem to be doing a lot with her. Tara, how are you? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me as I'm going a little solo right now. So you had Io Shirai, Indy Hartwell, you had Stark. You had a lot of great teams working together. Io Shirai took a massive bump off the ladder, which was a great bump, but a scary one at the same time. But I think all in all, she was okay in the end. But Toxic Attraction, they came out victorious. And I think that was the right call. I think everything that they're doing with this Toxic Attraction, I think is great, along with Mandy Rose. I think it works. So I give that match high marks. I think it did well. I think the finish was great, and I was happy to see Toxic Attraction win. They're young, they're talented. One of them used to go by Priscilla Presley, who was very controversial back in the day. There's one particular that we actually addressed on the show that I thought was absolutely fucking disgusting. And let's just say it had to do with her using a dirty tampon. But all in all, I'm happy to see what they're doing with them. I think it's a good deal. I'm doing great, Tara. Thanks for asking. So going back to the Havoc, you had Joe Gacy and Malik Blade in a Halloween Havoc party. It was okay. I wasn't blown away about anything in the match. I don't know. I need to get a little more familiar. I have been slacking a little bit with NXT. I have to admit. I really tuned in this week more so than others because it was the Halloween Havoc show, and again, I'm quite a big fan. Diamond Mine, Roderick Strong versus Odyssey Jones. That match was okay. Again, nothing blockbuster. It was okay. A running high knee for the victory. I mean, there wasn't much to it. They had now this was the Trick or Street Fight NXT Women's Title match. So of course you had Gonzalez versus Mandy Rose. What a great match. Joe Gacy is Kevin Owens 2.0. Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty solid comparison from what I've seen so far. So Tara, I'm kind of with you on that. But Gonzalez, Mandy Rose, I'll tell you what, Raquel, is great, and her size helps because it allows her to do things that others, quite frankly, can't do. But Mandy Rose has come so far, so much better than she used to be. That saying, she's not just a pretty face, and she's really not. Like, she's really come a long way. I've been very impressed with her, especially now since she came back to NXT. So I was kind of happy with that. I think it's a great move in putting her with the other two and letting her be the lead. I think just works. I think it hits. The match I thought was great. Top scores. Mandy Rose becomes the champion and defeats Gonzalez by pinfall. So I thought that was the right decision. I think Raquel, what I'm kind of thinking, is this now going to be her call up? I think Raquel is ready for the main roster. So I'd be interested to see. I would be interested to see if they make that move. But then you also had Kai returned and she interfered, which is a big reason why Mandy got the win. So are they going to revise and have another match between those two? because that's very possible. They really, I guess, could use one more final match. But then again, if they do, maybe that's the final match. And then Raquel comes up to the main roster. I don't know that Kai. I don't think she's necessarily on the radar to come up now. But again, who the fuck am I? I may be totally off base. I'm not taking anything away from Kai. I think Kai is one of the most talented women in the NXT brand. I just don't know if there's really room for her on the main roster right now. But who knows? It's WWE, and WWE does things the way they see fit. So it'd be interesting to see. So moving on, you had Carmelo Hayes survive Dexter Loomis's house. Solo Sika takes out Grayson Waller. It was an okay match. Lumberjack or Lantern NXT titles match, MSK versus Imperium. As much as I'm not the biggest fans of Imperium, and I can't really tell you why, you can't take anything away from how talented those guys are, including Alexander. I don't know. They just don't really do anything for me. But it was an outstanding match. That was probably one of the best matches of the entire night. Imperium, of course, was victorious. But that was probably one of the matches of the night. And then you've got the main event. So the main event, you had Chiampa versus Braun Breaker. Now, admittedly, this was one of my real first experiences with Braun Breaker because, again, I have been falling off of NXT. There's just not enough time in the week. And I don't. Sometimes WWE makes decisions. A lot of the time, WWE makes decisions that I will never truly understand. And this being one of them. For those of you that aren't aware, Braun Breaker is a Steiner. But they don't want him to be known as a Steiner. Even though you could pick him out of a fucking lineup and just by looking at him, know he's a fucking Steiner. But they don't want to portray him as a Steiner. And I don't understand why. I mean, listen. Scott Steiner was a train wreck in a lot of ways, but he's still a legend in the business in his own right, even though he was very difficult. Everything you hear, he was always very difficult and this and that, but he's still a big deal. The Steiner brothers, one of the best tag teams, one of the best. And then they went their separate ways. The Dogface Gremlin, he did okay on his own, but he never really went as far as Scott. And then Scott really recreated himself, became Big Papa Pump. I don't know. I think that's a bad decision. I can understand them wanting him to be his own person. And I feel like you can still do that, but be proud of your lineage and, be a generational superstar like Randy Orton, like DiBiase. I mean, there's a long list. I could go through them all. And you're right, Tara. He's basically Scott's twin. So that to me doesn't make sense. But outside of that, this kid is the real deal and he's the future. He is a future world heavyweight champion. No doubt about it. He's got the look. He's got the size. I am a big fan of this kid. And I think he's going to go very far. And by far, one of the top matches of the night. It's really a toss-up between that and the tag match. But holy shit, what a match. And I liked the end. I liked the finish. I liked afterwards. The respect. You don't see that a lot. And to me, that goes a long way. I don't know. Call me a traditionalist. I'm not saying I like to see it all the time. But I don't know. I'm a big fan. Big fan, and I see very big things for him. And that was Halloween Havoc. All in all, a hell of a show. A hell of a show. Tara also, while I was talking about Breaker, she also asked about Sika Sikos in the Ano. Listen, the DNA of this family is unbelievable because he's another one. You could look at him in a lineup and say he's got to be related somehow. They all look the same. He's another one. You know, and I've got to stop for a second because last week I promoted the fact that I enjoyed very much Raw and SmackDown premieres. And I see big things happening. And one of the things that I keep going back to, and something that AEW has been doing right from the beginning, is young, new talent. Don't get me wrong. Yes, they have Sting. They have Big Show. They have Mark Henry. They have a lot of guys that are up there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't rely on them to take you into the future. You have to be creating new, young stars. WWE, within the last 3 weeks, has been doing just that. And that's why things are starting to get better, because you got a kid like Breaker. You've got this new young Uce who eventually is going to join the family. You've got Austin Theory. Very big fan of this kid. I love the look. I love the gimmick. I love that he's going after all the guys that he idolized and the selfies. And I'm a big fan. And he's great. He's solid, decent on the mic. He's got work to do. He's young, but I see it. I see good things for him. All these young, talented guys are going to be the future. And that's why it's starting to get better in my eyes. That takes me over to SmackDown, because why not go in order? So we go into SmackDown, and this is now the first SmackDown after the premiere. It's still going to say SmackDown premiere. I didn't change it. My bad. So, another solid show. The show starts, which, by the way, this whole switching to FS1 shit drives me crazy. Anyone else? I mean, you forget these fucking things. I had to tape the replay because I can't watch anything live anymore. And, well, in any event, fuck me all up. But, show starts with the Queen. Now, what I did like, what I meant about Siko is whose son, brother, cousin. I don't know all the details. All I know is he's a brother. I think brother to the other two Uce. Jimmy and Jay, I believe, which would mean that Rikish is the father. But do not quote me on that. I would Google it, but I think that's what it is. So in any event, Charlotte starts off the show, which I got to tell you I was happy about, because with everything going on, you know, with the week before, the Becky controversy, the championship swap issue, that whole fucking deal, which I still think is a work, quite honestly. But some people think it's the real deal. Who the hell knows? It's wrestling. You never know, really. But I was happy to see her come out because I didn't know what was going to be. You know, I heard she was getting pulled from certain things. I heard that she was escorted out by security. So who the hell knew? So she opened the show, and then, you know, cuts a typical Charlotte promo. Banks comes out, interrupts. She cuts a stellar promo. And then Shotzi Blackheart comes out, and she basically accepts a challenge against Charlotte. I got it. I've said this in the past. I'm not the biggest Shotzi fan, and I really can't tell you why. There's something about her that bothers me, and I don't know what it is. I'm not taking away from her in-ring work. I think she's decent. The promos, I think, are decent. I think it's the gimmick. I don't mind the green hair. I don't mind the tank. The howling bothers me. I mean, it's like little shit. But there are things that bother me. That's like primarily it. I don't know. But I will say this. She gave Flair a great match. Great match. She lost, of course. The Queen delivered natural selection to score the win. And after the match, Shotzi was, really frustrated and attacked Sasha Banks. Seemingly looking like it's a Shotzi heel turn. I might be able to get on board with that. I have to kind of see where it goes, but I didn't hate the segment. I think it was a great opening segment. I think everything worked. The promo worked into the match, and a good match. So I was okay with it. I'm curious to see where it's going to go. So moving on, is Kat joining the show? Thank fuck. Do you know? I'll tell you. Holy shit. I'm glad you're here.
Sorry, honey.
All gravy. I think I did it right, though, considering I was solo.
You were sounding good. I'm not going to lie, darling.
There we go.
And now you have someone to bicker with.
Thank fucking God. Well, so real quick, I don't know if you were listening to the whole thing. So I'm kind of dissecting SmackDown now. I just went over the opening segment. But before that, I started out breaking down Halloween Havoc. Did you see it? Any thoughts? Anything you want to contribute to the Havoc? I thought it was a great show.
It was an excellent show. I know I had said last week that I was going to be really disappointed if Mandy Rose won. But I got to say, the faction all having the belts, I did kind of enjoy that sequence of how they did that and the Dakota Kai thing.
You have to say, too, Mandy, and I said this before, too. I don't know if you caught it, but Mandy has come a very long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially now going back to NXT.
100%.
Which, from what I understand, was like out of the blue. She had no idea that was even coming.
But it's actually working out for her. And like I said, I
phenomenal.
Make no say about it. I never have been a big Mandy Rose fan at all, but I like what they're doing with her, and they're utilizing her well.
I'm with you. I'm the same way. I was never really a big fan. Yeah, beautiful woman, but didn't really do much for me. And I didn't think in the ring she was all that. She wasn't bad. She could hold her own, but she wasn't in my top, 15.
Right.
But she's starting to move up the ladder a little bit. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate that. So yeah, anyway, but anything else about Havoc? I mean, anything, the ladder match was fantastic.
The ladder match was amazing. I am surprised that Tommaso Ciampa won. I did hear you break that down a little bit. I was very surprised by that finish.
So forget the finish for 1 second. We'll go back to the finish. But now that you're here, what are your
unbelievable match?
Oh, phenomenal. But my issue, nothing to do with the match. I know I was saying, I don't understand this whole, we're not going to recognize you as a Steiner.
Right. But you have the gear that's clearly Steiner gear, and it's obvious by your face and everything that you are totally the Dogface Gremlins kid.
Oh my God, he looks just like him.
Yep.
But that's
all he needs is the wrestling gear on his head, and it's like you're looking in the mirror.
He can still be his own person and still be a Steiner. Like, I don't understand why we're not promoting him the way we would promote Orton or
exactly,
the Usos
or the Rhodes kids, exactly,
or DiBiase or it's like, what the fuck. So that's my thing. Like, but I will say this, and I said it before you came on. He is a future world heavyweight champion, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Like I said, I'm surprised he didn't actually win the other night. And especially, I mean, it's really, I know it's kind of stupid, but the whole Chucky interaction with him, especially after that's what happened with his father. It's like, okay, so we're not mentioning that he's a Steiner, but we're putting all these Steiner-esque things with him.
Remember, WWE fans have amnesia.
This is true.
You know, we don't remember things. I mean, that's what they hope anyway.
Yeah.
But outside of that,
but then there's podcasts like us that we remember everything.
Or at least one of us do. That's for sure.
Well, there's normally 5 or 6 of us, and at least one of us has something.
That's very true.
He's not Scott. Scott Steiner is his uncle, not his father. His father is Rick.
So, moving on. Oh, well, I want to say this. So you were surprised that, and I get it, because if we had done the pick'em,
yeah,
I probably would have gone with Breaker also. However, I'm not mad at it.
Oh, no, not at all.
Well, because I do think it's too soon. As good as he is, he's been on the scene, 30 days?
Right.
I mean, I haven't really been watching NXT as much, but
it's probably about 30. But see, this is, like I said, we still don't know why Samoa Joe had to relinquish the title, but it seemed like NXT 2.0 was trying to expand on the younger talent and put the straps on the younger kids. Like, even though Mandy Rose isn't a younger kid, this is her time to shine, MSK, all that stuff. And then you put it on Tommaso Ciampa, which, again, not disrespecting Tommaso Ciampa at all, because I absolutely adore him and he deserves it.
Amen.
But at the same token, if we're doing something new with NXT and broadening new talent, why is Tommaso a repeat champion?
Well, I think you can do everything you said, but that doesn't mean that the young guy has to be the champion. I think Tommaso's the right choice for now. I think Breaker winning it now would have been too soon. As good as he is.
Maybe then they shouldn't have put him in that spot yet then too soon.
Well, now we say that how often? I mean, They seem to put themselves in situations that they never should in the first place, and then they do, and it's kind of like, well, that was kind of like the only option because I put myself in this situation.
And again, not taking anything away from the match, because that was a textbook match from start to finish. I don't have any complaints about the match itself.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I mean, like I said, this kid's the real deal. He's the future.
It doesn't have my vote for match of the week yet, because I know we haven't gotten that far yet. But
well, right, but I mean, he's definitely somebody to keep your eye on. He's going to be around for a while. He's probably going to get called up soon. I mean, that he doesn't need too much work.
That's not necessarily a good thing to be called up though anymore.
Well, that's true too. But you know what? They call him up. Maybe he does become a Steiner.
This is true.
Vince does change, things when you move up sometimes. So
here's something where we need Ryan for, because I don't remember I know I've seen bits and things in the past that Scott Steiner did not end his WWE career well with Vince McMahon.
No, that's accurate. Scott had major issues with Triple H as well.
Right. So maybe erasing his name as a Steiner is their way of giving this kid a chance without being correlated to the Steiners.
I agree, but I feel like there are other people that they're giving titles to way too. Yeah, well, no, that's true. I mean, that's why I'm saying I think it was the right move not to give it to Breaker, because I think it's just too soon. That doesn't mean that he's not going to be one.
Move. Like I said, I was more surprised.
And let me tell you something. I'm kind of hoping for Breaker versus Samoa Joe. Can you imagine?
Yeah, now that'll be good. That would be good. That's a good point.
So we kind of moved over to SmackDown. Mm-hmm. And SmackDown, I thought the open was a great open. Started off with the Queen, which I was happy about, because we weren't sure what was going to happen. Was she not going to be there? With all the bullshit with Becky, and was it a work? Was it not a work? Blah, 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 blah. So I thought that was a great promo. Banks coming out, great promo. Shotzi coming out, getting a match against Charlotte, which was a fantastic match. And I'm not a Shotzi fan. And then you have the end where it seems like Shotzi turns heel.
Yeah.
And
Why are
that's
you not
something that I think I can get. We've had this conversation on the show before, and I honestly, in all fairness, can't tell you.
Gotcha.
I think she's decent in the ring. I think she's great, decent on the mic. I won't say great.
Right.
I think it's the gimmick. The howling drives me fucking crazy. Number one. I don't mind the hair. I don't mind coming down on the tank. I like that's cool shit. I don't know. There's just something about her. However, I think I might be able to get behind her as a heel. So if that's the route they went with what she did to Sasha, which seemingly then turned Sasha back to face, because Sasha was a heel a week ago.
Correct. But Sasha's the new Big Show.
Well, but to be fair, this is the new SmackDown. We just had the season premiere. So maybe this season she's going to be the boss bitch that we all love and not a heel.
Right. But I guess I hate when they do it with no story behind it.
I know, me too. It drives me crazy.
She's now a face. There was no justification for it whatsoever. She was just a heel in Saudi Arabia. So makes no sense to me. But I'll take Sasha any way I can get her. I love Sasha Banks. So totally fine.
No, I'm with you on that. So a great opening segment, a great match. I mean, it definitely putting Shotzi against someone like Charlotte right away is a great move.
Yep.
Because Charlotte's going to make you look good no matter what, and you're going to learn something. Say what you want about Charlotte, all the haters out there that shit on Charlotte. At the end of the day, she's still a Flair, and she's still one of the best ever women wrestlers in professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
You can't take that away from her.
Like I said, it's a movement now, whether you're Team Becky or Team Charlotte. I'm still sticking with my Team Charlotte on this. I still don't think – I think her walking away from Vince McMahon, definitely disrespectful. But I think the belt swap was still ridiculous. So
listen, at the end of the day, I'm not on any sides. I'm just a fan of the women wrestlers, and I think that they're doing a solid job.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I could give a shit sides and this and that. I mean, to me, that's just, it's just petty bullshit. But that's just my opinion.
And
Drew McIntyre and the damn Skippy. So then we move on to Drew McIntyre and Mustafa Ali. I didn't really give a shit.
Neither did I.
Right? Like
Nope.
I don't really understand how we even got there.
I don't understand how we got there. And I actually, like I said, I've said this before, I do like Mustafa Ali, even though
I do too.
I enjoy him.
I like McIntyre also. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. But after the match was over, the segment that they made him do, I really was not a fan of that at all.
Remind me of what you're speaking about.
The reason that you all don't like me and I don't get the respect I deserve is because of my heritage.
Well, I mean, listen. It's such a heel. It's such a heel thing to do. I kind of like it. Didn't bother me, I guess.
It's not the heel. It's not even so much that he said it. I could care less that he said it. I mean, like I said, we've had the Sergeant Slaughter, the General Adnans. We've had all those throughout the years. It's just like, it's so outplayed. It's been done so many times. You're already the heel. So what's the point of the extra heat? I guess it's like, maybe if he was MJF, he could get away with saying it and it would make you want to go through the screen and strangle him. But it did nothing for him any way, shape, or form. Like you said, you didn't even remember the part of the segment. It didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't resonate with me, but it didn't bother me to the point where I did remember it. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. So then the point of him doing it still made no sense because you don't remember it. Like you said, you didn't even remember it being done.
Well, all right, I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, nothing about this entire segment made sense. Not even the match.
This is true. Okay.
You know what I mean? So
the whole thing from existence, it never happened.
Well, I'm sure they're going to hope for that because it made no sense. But moving on, we did have one of the more happy segments of the show because we got the knighting ceremony with King Woods.
Yep.
And now we have Kofi officially as his, whatever the fuck they're calling him, and he got his medal.
Or Kofi. Yeah.
Right.
Will you stop? I'm sorry. I am married to the only person that does not like Xavier Woods.
Really?
He cannot stand him. He goes, I want to shove that trombone off his ass. So he hears this and he's talking underneath his breath. I have to argue with him every time Xavier Woods is on. He cannot stand his gimmick at all. He loves Kofi, loves Big E, but he can't stand Xavier.
Oh, man.
Exactly. This is what I have to listen to. So while I'm doing you, I'm all joyous and happy and watching the segments and everything. I have to listen to him.
Well, and again, we kind of touched on this last week too. This is more than just, us enjoying it because it's funny and it's, like we know the story behind it.
Right. Everything that Austin Creed went through. Exactly.
Right. Like we know his story. We know the struggles. We know that the only reason why we even got the King of the Ring tournament back is because of him and his politicking to bring it back, and that it was always a dream of his to one day be king. And, the fact that WWE actually did the right thing and gave it to him also, so like all of that together, like I'm very happy for him.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite backstage stuff that they show has to be him. Like I trying to think what it was. A couple years ago when Batista wrestled at WrestleMania.
Right.
There's footage of him backstage watching his pyro that he takes his hair out, like lays it down, and like he's literally singing the lyrics at the top of his lungs.
I remember that.
Like this guy sleeps and breathes this business that he loves it that much.
And not only that, he's brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And
he was a teacher, I believe, before he got into this.
Well, and then while he was wrestling full time, he still went back, and I think he got a PhD from like Harvard or some shit.
Yep.
Like this guy's no joke.
He's no joke. But everyone makes fun of like when he jokes around dancing about the wrestlers and stuff. That's not him joking around. That's the wrestling fan in him actually enjoying himself and having fun. Like that, like not everybody knows it, but that pop when the Hardys came out,
that was all legit. Well,
that was legit because the three of them had no clue and they were freaking the hell out as wrestling fans. Like,
well, that's what I was just going to say. Not even the commentators knew. Like literally the only people that knew besides the Hardys were Vince, Triple H, and Stephanie. That was it.
Right.
Because they wanted all that true raw, surprise. And they knew the New Day would freak out.
Right.
They knew Michael Cole would damn near shit himself.
Yep.
It was one of the greatest returns in history.
Yep.
It was so cool, especially because they were in Ring of Honor the night before.
Exactly. They had just lost the belts the night before. Yep. But you can see it. And that's part of what I love all of the New Day. Don't get me wrong. But Xavier's reactions to stuff like that. He puts the reactions that we have when we're home sitting, drinking and doing whatever with our family, watching wrestling and having pops and everything. He's doing them the same way we would when he's in the ring. On top of being one hell of a wrestler.
Yeah.
So
he's very talented.
Sorry.
Hey, I second that. So moving down, we got the Trick or Street fight. We had Shinsuke and Boogs versus Happy Corbin, which I think is hilarious. And this other fucking guy, this new guy that's with him, I forget his name.
Madcap or something. I don't even know what the hell is
Madcap Moss or some shit. I don't know.
I don't know. Don't care.
But once again, the best part of it,
our boy,
fucking Pat doing his thing. That was great. And then the match itself was entertaining. Obviously, it was Halloween themed. There were pumpkins everywhere, and it was no DQ. And there were some real good spots. And then, of course, we had interference and a Fugazi finish.
Yeah, but the interference was interesting, though, being in Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza.
Right. Well, because this was really their debut on SmackDown. Because they were drafted.
Right.
That's another team. Again, we talk about young talent.
Yep.
a phenomenal idea to put those two together.
Yep.
And two guys to keep an eye on. They're going to be around a long time. They are very, very good in the ring. And I think turning Humberto heel was a right move because Angel is a great heel.
Yep.
And they are both good-looking guys. I mean, the gimmick works. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. We're going to get some really solid, great matches out of them.
Yeah, and obviously now it's going to include Boogs and Nakamura because now they're going to want revenge. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, maybe this will lead to a triple threat tag or, a triple threat ladder or, they could do some creative shit.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, so I will agree that even though it was a little, like you said, a jalopy finish, I like where the story could potentially be going with this one.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that completely. Now we get to another thing which kind of bothers me. They've done this before. I fucking hate it. This whole deal with Sonya Deville. Like, you're either going to be a general manager or you're going to be a fucking wrestler. Now, obviously, they're setting this up to transition her back into a wrestler. That's where I see this going, and Pierce will just remain general manager if he ever comes back from the ass whooping he got from Brock. But, you had Naomi versus Sonya. Obviously, Sonya's got this fucking this beef with Naomi, and then Baszler, I guess, is her bitch. So now Baszler is helping her out and taking out Naomi. I think it sucks. I don't enjoy it. That's one segment you could have scrapped. Sonya, fucking Shayna Baszler needs to be on her own, just fucking killing people because she's amazing. Naomi needs to just join the fucking family and join the Usos and Reigns because that's where she belongs. She's an Uso by marriage. She should be with them. I don't. And Sonya Deville, make a fucking decision. Either you're going to be a wrestler or you're going to be, because then this week, what she was a referee.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
But here's some issues. One, I agree with you 100% that I would love to see Naomi a part of the bloodline, but we know from experience with Team Bad that she sucks as a heel. So
yeah, but she won't have to say much.
This is true.
Because you got the other three. And then you got Heyman. Heyman will be your spokesperson.
This is true. That's true. You could use Paul Heyman, so that's a good valid point. But this is kind of like the Sasha Banks thing because 3 weeks ago when Sasha was on Raw, she freaking took out Nia Jax, got a huge pop for that. She stomped the shit out of Eva Marie. You are like my savior now for doing that. And then she comes on to SmackDown and like you said, she's Sonya's bitch. What the hell happened? There's no story in between as to why. There's even no story in between why Sonya has such a beef with Naomi. What the fuck is the point of all of this?
Yeah, I don't like where it's headed.
Like what? Didn't Naomi steal one of the Usos from you in high school and this is your revenge now? What? There's no story.
Well, here's your story. Naomi versus fucking Sonya Deville at Survivor Series. That's your match. And Naomi's going to go over and Sonya's going to be back in the ring. And that's going to be that's where this is fucking headed.
This is where we're heading, but we have no understanding or reason why behind it. And I'm sorry. Yeah, Sonya is a fantastic, was a great MMA, has a lot of martial arts experience. She's actually a very good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. She was way better than Mandy was when it was their whole team and everything like that.
She's okay.
Exactly. But Naomi's fucking been amazing since day one. Even when she was a Funkadactyl and she was in NXT training and everything like that, the girl can move.
She was the one that stuck out.
Yeah, sure. She's one of the best. This is a stupid storyline, a stupid scenario for her to be in, period.
Look how over she was when she was champion for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The crowd went fucking apeshit.
Yep.
So, it's another one, but we'll see where this goes. But
and she's telling you. They don't call it the Moolah, the Mae Young. No, that's not Mae Young, but she won the Women's Over the Top Battle Royal from WrestleMania 1 year, too.
And nobody doesn't even fucking remember.
Exactly.
I even totally forgot that. It meant nothing.
It doesn't mean anything to win it. But I'm just saying, they pick her for these things because of how good she is, even if it doesn't fucking mean anything. So she's being picked now to bring Sonya Deville back into the ring. But still means nothing.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, you're right. Main event. You had the New Day versus Usos for the 1,350,200 and but they always deliver.
Exactly.
It's always entertaining. So as I say that, I'm kind of joking because they always put on a great match. They know each other so well. The chemistry is they put on beautiful matches. They really do.
They
so
know
you
what
can't
each
be
other's
mad.
going to do. It's like clockwork with them, with how many times they've been in the ring. So that I agree with 100%.
And you know what? This was a finish that I liked.
Yes.
A simple roll up, but it was a reversal, and then he came out. It was just, it worked. I mean, that was probably one of the best matches of the entire night.
I will agree.
It was just, it was a good way to finish the show. And of course, you want to give some momentum to King Woods. And I was happy that he's the one that got the roll up. They're really letting him. It was Kofi, Big E. Now you're letting
right.
At the same time, you're letting Big E do his thing too, which is great.
That's another thing. You don't see that many factions where each person individually gets their own chance to shine like this,
and actually survives.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. And I'm happy about that. So
I'm gonna bring liquor with me more nights to the show because I don't think we've disagreed on anything tonight. It's got to be the liquor.
You know what? You're probably right. That's true. We have not disagreed on much. So here's we have about 15 minutes. So we'll jump down. That was the main event of SmackDown. We'll move on to Raw. And Raw, I think, was okay. I enjoyed Raw last week, I think, a little more than I did this week. But there were a lot of things I did like. And there's a lot of things that give me hope that things are going to continue to get better. So to me,
I am
it was
so
okay.
with Tara 100% on what she just said. The Miz got freaking robbed last night.
I mean, listen, the Miz was never winning that show.
No, but last night, two of his best dances, and he got screwed both times.
Well, I don't watch. The only ones I've seen are Miz. Like Stacey will call me and say, "All right, Miz is on. I'll come check it out." Mm-hmm. But other than that, I could give a fuck less. Tyra Banks bothers me. The whole thing.
Oh, she was no. I skipped past her. Right.
Those judges are fucking obnoxious and annoying. Fucking Christ, I can't. So I literally will watch.
Can you hear Justin? He's dying over here.
Is he agreeing with me?
Yes,
you damn right. Oh, they fucking
he
suck.
Likes his Derek, but he's like, oh God, you're not watching this again, are you?
It's fucking horrible. So whatever, I'll go and I'll watch him. But from what they tell me, that JoJo Siwa is going to win, and there's no way that they were going to send her home over Miz. So
I agree, but he shouldn't have been. But neither one of them should have been in the bottom two last night. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. And Tara, we'll talk about this more later, honey. You still there, Steve?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Okay.
Sorry, the plug came out. So Raw opened with Becky Lynch Bianca women's title match.
Yep.
Okay, that's just a great way to start the show. And it delivered. They put on a great match. Mm-hmm. I thought the way Becky won, I liked the finish. It was a heelish win. It keeps the story going, obviously.
Yep.
And of
she
course,
said in her interview, I'll do whatever it takes to win. So
right, and of course, insult to injury, pull the tights, even though she probably didn't have to because the open turnbuckle. But well done. I think it was a great match.
I think it was a nice double heel spot for her to do both things.
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm just saying I don't think it was necessary, but it worked. I mean, it was great. It was definitely an A+ match in my opinion. I enjoyed that, and I liked there was no interference or no bullshit. Right. Rey Mysterio, Austin Theory, again, very big on Austin Theory. I see great things with this kid. I like how he's going after all the guys that he idolized. Now it's Rey getting his selfies. I love the whole deal.
I agree.
Dominic really cost Rey the match.
Yep. So that's getting more to this heel turn for Dominic.
Yeah. But all in all, I thought it was a great match. And again, it had to end that kind of way because
Absolutely.
Austin Theory needs to continue to win.
Right.
So,
but he cannot take a clean pin to Rey Mysterio.
Well, right. I mean, right. 100%. Moving on, you had a backstage segment that earlier in the night, which led to this Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley versus Carmella and Queen Zelina. It looks like Carmella and Queen Zelina are now going to be a duo, which ultimately means probably Carmella is going to be Zelina's bitch because, the thing. The Nikki Ash, I just can't get over.
I can't get behind it either.
Rhea Ripley, she's all right. She's never really done much for me. And that's not to take away. I mean, she's talented. I don't know.
Justin goes, she's fucking hot.
Rhea Ripley?
Yeah, he's got the hots for Rhea Ripley. He wouldn't kick her out of his bed. He said he's got the major hots. Well, hello. The hair is obviously not an option with his women.
Yeah, I get it.
No hair tattoos.
Yeah, see, no hairs, tattoos. He's good.
But so I mean, it was a decent match. I was happy to see Zelina go over. Being the queen. And I do like how when she talks, she's in and out of the.
I know the accent thing is actually really interesting. Yeah.
It's great because she's putting it on and she doesn't hold to it. So it's like every other sentence is in and out, and so it works.
Yep.
Finn Balor, Chad Gable. If anybody actually watched the match and didn't fast forward, those two put on a match of a lifetime.
Yeah.
That match was absolutely fantastic. And Chad Gable bores me most of the time. And that's not to take away. He's amazing in the ring.
Right. He woke up. Yeah.
Yeah, but that match was great. Of course, Finn's got to go over.
Right. But something lit a fire under him last night that I haven't seen since American Alpha.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, really well done. Street Profits versus Ziggler and Rude. That was a great match. Mm-hmm. I'm getting worried because I am hearing a lot of rumors that they're talking about possibly splitting up the profits.
No.
I'm hoping it's not true, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen. Those two need to stick together.
Yeah.
They're both very good. There's no reason to split them up right now. They're over. The gimmick works. Leave them alone, please. Because if you do split them, only one of them is going to survive, and we all know it's going to be Montez.
Yep.
And I don't want to see that happen because together they're good.
Angelo Dawkins himself is a phenomenal performer, but
yeah.
You need both of them. Yeah.
But a great match. Of course, Ziggler steals the win. But, a great match. Damian Priest versus T-Bar, no DQ. I like this new attitude with Damian Priest.
Okay, because last week you said you didn't.
I didn't say I didn't. I said that I was just very surprised by it because it kind of came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But I am kind of enjoying, it's always been there, but it takes a lot to get it out. And now it's almost like the Incredible Hulk almost.
Yeah.
He's going to switch it on and off.
He was probably my favorite part last night, not going to lie.
I like the bugged eyes and it all works. And, T-Bar and Priest know each other very well.
Yep.
I mean, they go back to Ring of Honor together. So they have a great chemistry. They're both big guys, and they both can do some great shit. That was an A+ match for me. I mean, I really, it was fantastic. And then Big E, Kevin Owens. So great promo earlier in the night. Kevin Owens also kind of teases his contract, if you notice.
Yep.
He said whether it's 3 weeks or 3 years, or 3 months or 3 years. So that was kind of a hint, what am I doing? I don't know yet. Great match. Obviously, Rollins fucked it up. And then Big E dropped Owens when Owens was trying to apologize. But I thought that was a great match. What do you think, Kat?
I actually kind of got intrigued there for a second because it almost looked like, and maybe this was just me perceiving it, it looked like Big E was almost healing a little bit to Kevin Owens at the end of that match.
yes and no. Like a part of me does agree with you. I kind of felt that, but Big E kept saying legitimately, I know you. I know you. I know where this is going. You knew he hit me and you went to take advantage of it, kind of thing. So I don't know.
But I don't know if that's actually what. Kudos to the both of them in this. I don't know if that was what Kevin Owens was intent on doing either. They both kind of crossed that spot between heel and face, and that's in there a little bit. And I guess because we haven't seen Big E as a heel since basically like the Dolph Ziggler days, it's kind of interesting to see, is the belt causing him to kind of heal up a little bit?
I got to be honest. If that's the route they're going, I'm not necessarily happy about it.
I'm not either.
I don't know that I want to see Big E as a heel. I like him as a face. I'm not saying he wouldn't be a great heel, but you know, you look forward to the comic relief.
Yes.
In a 3-hour show.
Right.
And you know you're going to get it with him. He's going to say something, or he's going to, you know, do something.
Jiggle
like
something. Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree. But as I was saying, like I said, this is what I'm like. I'm hoping I'm wrong. That was just the spot. That just this is the way the segment took just in that moment, and then it's going to die down from that.
Yeah, no, you're not necessarily off. We'll have to see where it goes. I mean, we'll find out this week. When is T-Bar going to stop being T-Bar? You know what, Tara? That's a great question. I honestly thought when they split him and the other guy up, and I heard they were repackaging, I kind of got the impression that we were going to get the return of Dijakovic. They decided not to, which makes me think that maybe he's staying T-Bar, which I'm not okay with.
I agree. He's been a friend of the show and everything too. So it's like, I want to see him.
Yeah, he's been a friend of the show. I've known him a long time back in Northeast Wrestling days. And, you know, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But we are officially at the top of the hour. That was the end of Raw, so we're kind of caught up. We didn't get to talk much about AEW, but you all know it's a great show, so we'll touch on that next week. Kat, anything that's gone on wrestling-wise that you want to get out? We got about 3 minutes left.
Did we give a shout-out to Hacksaw Jim Duggan in any way, shape, or form?
Oh, you know what? That's a very good call. So apparently, for those of you that don't know, for a little while now, apparently Hacksaw has been dealing with pancreatic cancer, I believe it was, right? Pancreatic cancer. He did just have a very successful surgery. So hopefully he's going to be okay. He is going to be off social media for a while, but his wife is going to keep everybody posted. Thoughts and prayers. Hope he gets better. He's one of the good guys for sure. Always been a stand-up nice guy every time I've had the honor of meeting him. So
same here. I've met him twice, and he's just, well, you know it, you being a New Yorker yourself too. He's like, everybody loves Hacksaw, but like he's our New York boy. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it kind of just like, oh man. But the pops he gets pops everywhere, but the pops he gets in New York when he shows up to things. It's, you know.
Yeah, for sure. One other thing too, I want to mention, last week we got a little taste of the return of Eric, but it will be official. Eric will be making his full-time return to the show next week. So I'm sure we'll get an Eric rant or two. But it's always good to have him back. He's been dealing with some stuff, and it looks like he's getting to a good place, and he's going to be able to come back and stir it up, because me and him tend to beat heads a little bit when it comes to this. So it'll be fun and see where it goes.
Freeman 5 will return.
And the Freeman 5. Yes, we will get the Freeman 5.
Listen to the tone of that. You go, and the Freeman 5.
But on that note, thanks everyone for checking us out. Of course, we're on every single platform you could possibly imagine. So find us, like us, ring the bells and all that. Tell your friends. Anytime you want to listen to a bunch of people talk some wrestling shit, every Tuesday, 6 p.m., live on Facebook, live on Twitter, live on Twitch, live on YouTube. And then, of course, within 24 to 48 hours, Ryan, the intern, gets us up and loaded on everything else. So check us out. Tell your friends. We appreciate you for checking us out. And always, like Tara on Facebook, you can have some input. Actually, on all the platforms, it gives you a way to connect us live and we like to banter and go back and forth. So on behalf of myself and Kat and the rest of the crew, thank you for checking us out, and we hope to see you next week live 6 p.m. This has been the Raw Report podcast. Thanks again for coming, and we'll see you next week.